going on? It's Bobby Skinner, Talking Giants, doing mock draft number 3 of 4 for Talking Giants. Do 4 a year, one during the bye week, one post-Senior Bowl pre-free agency, this one that kicks off draft month, and then we do one the day of the draft. Couple rules before we get into it. First, the Giants have 10 picks, 3 in the 7th round. Positional value does matter to me, but it's not everything for me. Like, some people won't take a linebacker in the first round. I would take a linebacker in the first round in a heartbeat if he was the guy I wanted. It matters for positions like running back and stuff like that. And then need matters more so in the early rounds than the later rounds, actually. But it can't be everything. Like, don't pass up on a player who you think is clearly better to fit a need. But the Giants' needs are basically everything. So unless they're taking a quarterback, an offensive tackle, or a running back, there's not a position on this team where it's not a need that this guy would upgrade the team right away. So let's get into it. 10 picks, round 1, pick 25. And I'm going against something I would usually do. And I'm taking a 5'9", 182-pound wide receiver. I like a little more size for my guys. But here I went best player available, and it was a big need. And I'm getting Zay Flowers out of Boston College. This guy, man, if he was 5'11", I think he's a top 10 pick in this draft. I really do. Like, he plays like a wide receiver 1. And you would think, oh, he's a short guy. He's going to play in the slot, right? Another slot guy. I think this guy's an outside wide receiver in the NFL, and that's the way he played in Boston College. I think you put him in the slot. I think he got a fifth of his snaps were in the slot this past year. So he'll get slot reps. But to me, this guy's an outside wide receiver despite his height, because he has the speed. His speed is awesome despite testing numbers not being great, and he just uncovers well at all 3 levels. Like, his route running, I think, needs to be cleaned up more so in the quick game. His routes will kind of be rushed and not like, he's not cutting on a dime. They're kind of rounded out. But like the deep part of the field, does stuff that some of the best wide receivers in the NFL do. He will toy, and he plays with confidence. He will toy with DBs and uncover deep on posts, vertical routes. Like, consistently doing that. It's awesome to watch. And this is a guy who's going to help create explosives for the Giants. And then he's also, I think he needs to develop in the quick game, but once he does, he's going to be a threat there. And even then, using him as yak, using him as a yak guy, that's going to be quick too. If teams are playing off, this will be the best guy on the Giants wide receiver room to put the ball in his hands. You compare him to a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Zay Flowers is far superior of a prospect than Wan'Dale Robinson, before you even mention that Wan'Dale's a slot only, and I think Zay's going to play on the outside in the NFL. So a huge yak weapon who can really, really win deep down the field. Needs to clean up some things in the quick game, but I think that can come, with good coaching. His biggest negative to me is not the height. He has some concentration drops. Those got to be beaten out of him. Like, you can't have those concentration drops. His drop rate was pretty damn high, and they showed up on film in the 4 games that I went through. So I'm going to put a film breakdown out on him on this channel later in the week, so look out for that. But round 1, pick 25, I'm getting the Giants a wide receiver, and I'm going Zay Flowers out of Boston College. All right, round 2, pick 57, and I'm going from Mississippi State, and I'm getting myself a cornerback for Wink Martindale. And I'm going Emmanuel Forbes, who's 6'1", 166 pounds. So he is light. Obviously, that's very, very light. But we've seen Joe Shane be willing to take outliers with weight. We saw it with Cordell Flott last year. So, trying to read those trends. And this is a guy I like a lot. Like, I think he's a high second-round pick, and the Giants projected to go right around 57, and I think the Giants could be a great landing spot for him because he's long at 6'1", 32-inch arms, and he is an A1 athlete. Ran a 4.35 at the combine, and his change of direction is just as good as his long speed, and he's just a player who just totally glides around the field. Now, right now, I think he's a better zone corner than he is man, but I think he has all the tools to grow into a great man coverage corner. And he plays aggressive. Like, that's what I like out of my corners. If he's playing an off coverage, he's great at kind of baiting that quarterback and pouncing, and he gets out of his back pedal as quick as anybody. Playing the flats. Like, he had interceptions playing the flats. He had 6 interceptions this past year. 14 interceptions in his entire career, and he had a pretty good completion percentage against them too, like 53, 62, and 56 the last 3 seasons. Now, he gave up some touchdowns too, so there is some boomer bust with him right now, but I think he's a good player that Wink Martindale, Jerome Henderson can work with. Um, like he's got to work in man coverage. Like if he gets beat, he will grab, and get yourself in trouble. Sometimes you'll have trouble mirroring releases and then have to play from behind, but he has that speed, that change of direction to be able to play with that playing style of aggressive and, getting back in phase with guys. So I like this guy a lot. It's a little bit of a risky pick, but I think this is a good spot for Emmanuel Forbes, who has all the ability to turn into a great corner. Round 3, pick 89, and I'm getting myself a draft crush at a huge position of need. Arguably the Giants' biggest position of need, because they don't even have a guy who's started an NFL game at center. And I'm getting a center out of Arkansas, Ricky Stromberg, who's 6'3", 306 pounds. And this guy in the run game, you will fall in love watching his film. I did a film breakdown on him. I mean, he fires off the ball. He's a good athlete. He gets good hands and just works leverage. Like, he's able to move guys. And then you put him in combo blocks. It's as beautiful as you can get working combo blocks, like working leverage, moving guys, getting to the second level with patience. And then when he gets on to linebackers, he's able to sustain those blocks for the entire time. And that's a type of center who will lead you to have big explosive runs. And obviously the Giants have an explosive running back with Saquon Barkley. Now, with all these good things, why is he here at the end of the third round? His pass protection needs a lot of work, but to me it's technical work, things that can be improved on. It's not like he has slow feet or he's gets bullied. It's just like when there's space between him, he kind of will shoot his hands, duck his head, and it'll just lead to some really ugly reps to him. I think when he needs to get better to like that full man, there you go, Mike, that full man relationship. But I think he works his hands pretty well in pass pro. Works good leverage, and once he's on guys, like he's able to sustain those blocks. So needs some work in the pass pro. I'm not going to start this guy right away, but he is a draft crush, and I would be thrilled to get him at pick 89 for the Giants. Round 4, pick 128. We're starting off day 3 of the draft, and this is a guy who I think is going to be a draft steal. Like, he's got all the makings of a guy of like, how did this guy end up following? And this is where he's projected. And I fell in love with this guy in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl, and that's South Carolina cornerback Darius Rush. He is 6'2", 198 pounds. He ran a 4.36 40. Like, he is a long press corner, and he's new to the position. So like any issues that he has, and he does have issues, it's like, well, he came into South Carolina as a wide receiver. He's only been playing cornerback for a couple years, and he just engulfs wide receivers. Like, he just swallows them. It's crazy to see. And he obviously has that long speed that's elite, but change of direction can be a little iffy. And then at the release, like, if you get him pressing up, like, he's awesome. He'll funnel a guy into the sideline, but sometimes he'll mistime his jams and will leave him lunging, and he won't mirror well. But with that, his ability to recover is awesome, and he does a great job, like, working into the catch space to break up passes, even if he gets beat initially. And that's a guy who's new to the position, who has the athleticism, the length that you desire, especially in a Wink Martindale scheme, that I think you can work with. Like, this is a ball of clay worth working on, because there's just so much potential there. Like, I really think he's going to be a steal in this draft. I fell in love with him down the Senior Bowl, and then went to go watch his film to see if it matched, and it was pretty damn good. Like, there were some passes he gave up, but overall, like, he's been really solid for South Carolina. So I'm going Darius Rush to start off day 3 for the Giants. All right, round 5, pick 160, and this is a guy I recently watched. We actually talked about him with Nick Filato on the mid-round draft preview. And this is another interior offensive lineman. Giants need work there. They need to keep adding bodies there, and that is John Gaines out of UCLA, who's 6'4", 303 pounds. This guy, he is athletic. Like, he's lined up at all 3 spots. Like, his home will be at center or guard in the NFL. But ran like the fastest short shuttle time at the combine for all offensive linemen, which is the speed test that you look at offensive linemen. The 40 is a vanity number for offensive linemen. So you see that, and then you put on his film, and the first thing you notice is, my gosh, this guy's feet are fast. They have a rapid fire. Like, he is good, like, getting into blocks and sustaining them. But his hand usage needs a total overhaul. Like, it's as bad as can be. They come low, they come late, and they come wide, and they give him issues in pass pro that he shouldn't have. Like, he should have been a much more dominant pass protector in college, but his hand usage just led to all different types of issues that he had. So it needs total reworking. Josh Azuda, who the Giants drafted last year, like a similar profile as far as like foot speed, but hands need work. Gaines is going to need to be able to sit on the bench and work on his hands, but he has all the makings of the athletic profile of an elite guard. But again, like his film isn't great, and his hand usage just needs a total overhaul. So I like this guy. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but he's damn near strong enough. So I'm thrilled to get this guy in the 5th round. John Gaines out of UCLA. Round 5, pick 172. This is a comp pick that the Giants have from Evan Ingram leaving on that 1-year, $9 million deal. And I'm getting a tight end, speaking of Evan Ingram, but basically the exact opposite player of Evan Ingram. And I'm getting Purdue tight end Payne Durham, who's 6'6", 253 pounds. And you should put this guy's highlight film should be blocking, because this man can block with the best of tight ends. And I think that's really valuable to be able to get this late in the draft. You know, you put him in line, he's sealing off big runs. He's working to the second level. You can move him around in space, even on screens, like his blocking and screens is awesome. You know, you work him as an H-back or a fullback. Like he does really well there, even though I think he needs to get a little lower into those blocks. And he's just a blocking machine. That being said, he's as slow as tight ends can be. Like he will not, you can't really use him at the second or third level besides, you know, running a seam here or there and hoping, you know, that's just part of the zone that gets open, because he can't move. Like he is a plotter. But with that, he gets some yak. Like he'll run through guys and keep his feet churning. And then in the quick game, again, he's not going to separate versus any type of man coverage, but you put him versus zone, he knows where to sit and, you know, run those, you know, those stick concepts. But again, versus man, he's not going to be able to separate at all. But we're in the end of the 5th round with a comp pick, and I'm getting a guy who can flat out block. Like you got a kind of a two-way tight end in Bellinger. Obviously, Waller's not a blocker, so you kind of get that third guy in that you can use and be an asset going forward. All right, round 6, pick 209. The Giants don't own their 6th round pick this year. This pick comes over in the trade for Kadarius Toney, so it comes from the Chiefs. And I'm going to get a guy who kind of looks like a guy that's already on the Giants, and that's Yaya Diaby out of Louisville, who's like an edge/D lineman. Kind of reminds me of Jihad Ward a little bit. Like he lines up all over the line of scrimmage, like and run like obvious rundowns. They had to line him up over the center. And he's 6'3", 263 pounds, nice size, solid enough athlete, and he's just good and strong, and he's got these powerful hands. Played mostly out of a down stance, so I don't know exactly where you line him up, whether it's, you know, 5 technique or you work him into the edge. But he's got the athleticism and like first step to make some plays on the edge, but he really needs to work as a pass rusher. Like he doesn't really have any moves. Once he's connected, he's not countering at all. He kind of only works on like that bull and rip move, which you're just not going to be able to live off that consistently. But he sets a mean edge in the run game, you know, squeezes gaps down, and he had a lot of production. The 9 sacks that he had were a little fake. A lot of them came on stunts, but he is valuable in that. Like he's got nice lateral ability to set up those stunts, so that does matter. But the 9 sacks isn't what it looks like. But he had 14 tackles for loss. Those were real. Those were by getting in gaps, you know, squeezing down edges. Like that was a very real number. You know, so he needs to improve as a pass rusher. Like he's just kind of got no plan. And his pad level can rise upon contact, and he's not able to disengage on those blocks. And I think his football instincts as a whole need to improve. Like he needs to get his eyes up a little more. But we're completing the Kadarius Toney trade. We're getting back Darren Waller and Yaya Diaby. Round 7, we got 3 7th-round picks. This first one comes over from the Ravens. It's the pick swap from the Ben Bredesen trade. So it's the first of 3 7th-round picks they have. And I'm getting a guy who has some familiarity with the coaching staff, and that is Vanderbilt linebacker Anthony Orji, who's the linebacker coach John Agoragru was his linebacker coach at Vanderbilt in 2021. 6'1", 230 pounds, so like a lot of linebackers in the draft, is undersized. Like basically every linebacker not named Jack Campbell is either 6'1" or really light, like a guy like Drew Sanders. But I like this guy. He's a smaller, like he's a scheme fit for what I think Wink Martindale likes to do. Like he's aggressive. He likes to get downhill. You can use him as a blitzer. He's good slipping blocks. Taking on blocks head on, he's not going to be great, like stacking and shedding. But he does like have that nice burst to where he can win. And he kind of just wins as a gap shooter. But with his aggressive play style, can put him out of place at times. And that's something that he's going to have to work on, like finding that balance between aggressive and that balance between aggressive and recklessness. You know, like even plays out on the edge, he'll try and undercut a block, and Sometimes he'll make the play. Sometimes he gets sealed off, and it's a play that maybe adds another 8 to 10 yards to it. And those are the types of things he needs to be better at. So I think he's a solid athlete. Did really well at the combine. 4.5, 340, 38.5-inch vertical jump. But in zone coverage, I think he's pretty good. IDing stuff feels good there. But in man, kind of like the same way in run. Like, he'll take bad angles. Like, if he's going to the flats, he will try and undercut it, and that will leave you vulnerable up on the sideline. So get a guy with some familiarity with the coaching staff and a scheme fit, and seeing what he can work and letting him be a special teamer to start. Next, we have pick 243, which is the Giants, just their regular old 7th-round pick. And I'm getting safety out of Rutgers. Safety is a huge need. I didn't really address it. I don't think picking a guy in the 7th round is addressing the position. But I'm going to get safety out of Rutgers, Christian Izien, who 5'8", 199 pounds. But this guy at his pro day was awesome. Ran a 4.4, 340, 41.5-inch vertical jump, 20 bench press reps. And this is a guy who's played all over the field for Rutgers. Like, basically, if you look at his career, it's like a third playing deep safety, a third playing the box, and a third playing nickel corner. And he plays like all those positions pretty well. With he's playing deep, like he's not going to be your center fielder who truly works sideline to sideline. Like, he's not going to be a ball hawk, but you put him in too high safety looks and he's comfortable there. You put him down in the box, like, he's very physical. Like, he plays bigger than his height. And, for a guy that's 5'8", he weighs 199 pounds. Like, he's a little ball of muscle out there. He plays in physical, delivers blows, will get downhill and try and blow up blocks. And then you could put him out in the slot. I think he's got the speed. Like, Zay Flowers got him a few times, but that's Zay Flowers. Physical enough to face some, like, lower-end tight ends. At 5'8", he's not going to go up against the best tight ends. He just doesn't have the size to do that, but he does have good ball skills. So I think this guy's, versatile, which, again, is needed in the Wink Martindale scheme. We're trying to get scheme fits who have the athleticism to play in the NFL, and Christian Izien out of Rutgers is that. So that's what I'm doing at pick 243. All right, let's finish off this draft with round 7, pick 254. This is a comp pick. Guys like Keon Crossan and Lorenzo Carter contributed to the Giants getting the second comp pick that they have. And I'm getting a guy whose name does not match who he is, and that is Florida wide receiver Justin Shorter. But he's not Shorter. He is 6'4", 229 pounds. He is a big wide receiver. And I think he's a guy who can win downfield. Like, he has some long speed. That's where the speed shows up. Like, he's not a guy who has really good change of direction. He doesn't really have any bursts out of his cuts. He can make some tough, clean cuts, but it will lose momentum at him. But, when he's running curls or comebacks, like, those are when he's able to do well. But, like, you go watch, there's an Anthony Richardson throw on a deep post versus LSU that everybody loves. It's an amazing throw. I've seen it posted a million times. The guy who caught that was Justin Shorter, who ran a post and was able to split the safety and get, a 50-yard touchdown pass for them. So he has that big playability. Obviously, this is the very end of the 7th round, so this is going to be a flawed wide receiver. He has limited route tree. But he plays to his size. Like, he's got some of that downfield speed, can make some tough physical catches, and he's a solid leaper. To get to a point to where he can be contributing as a wide receiver in the NFL, I think he's just got to get a lot better at the release. Like, his releases are very slow and segmented, and press will give him issues. If he can get to where he's at a point where he's got more forward lean and he's able to be physical at the releases and facing that press coverage, I think that allows him to be a guy who can make a play here or there in the NFL. So, last pick in the draft, taking a flyer on a guy with some size from the Florida Gators. So, 10 picks, 3 7th-round picks. Would obviously like to have 10 picks and have them higher in the draft, kind of like the Giants draft last year, where it was like all round 2 to round 4 picks that they had. But hey, we get some speed, in the first couple rounds. Get some offensive linemen that we really like, in Ricky Stromberg and John Gaines. And then, we're just trying to get players who we think have the best chance to be NFL players towards the end of the draft, not really factoring in need at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out all our other draft content. We're going to be rolling out episodes twice a week up until the draft. So appreciate you guys. Next mock draft is the day of the draft. One of my favorite podcasts of the year. So we'll see you then. We appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.